Hey everybody, I'm going to show you my little makeshift at-home workstation for those of you who are at home. So what I did was I took a little container, right, with a little bit of water and a little sponge I had. I'm keeping my clay in this Rubbermaid container. I have a plastic knife and a couple of circular objects to use as something to trace. So I've rolled out a few pieces of clay, and I'm just going to make a miniature form. So you can see I'm working on a cloth that I had laying around. Here's another one. I'm going to put this extra aside. Now I used a marker in order to roll this out, especially because I'm going to be doing a miniature form. So this side of my clay is soaking wet because I had it in this bin with a wet paper towel. So I'm going to put the really wet side on the cloth to help it absorb. Then I'm going to take my little marker and I'm going to roll this out. Now, if you see anything that looks like a mosquito bite or a zit, that would be an air bubble, and you should stab it and pop it. Put a little bit of water on your finger and rub it out. Smooth everything out. If you have dry clay on yours, it'll make an indent. That's not an air bubble. Then what you're going to do is you are going to trace, if you're making one of the mugs, right? You're going to trace a circle. Now I'm going to use this, or cut out a circle, to make the bottom. And then you're going to take all of that clay away. So now I'm left with this cute little circle. So my next piece that I'm going to do is I'm going to make a long strip that I want to be the height of my mug. And I'm going to cut away the clay. So now my piece looks something like this. And I want to attach this, put my extra clay back in my wet bin. I want to attach this piece of clay to this base. Now, one way to do that is to put it on the outside and wrap around like so. That's what it looks like. You could put it on top, then it takes up less clay. Now you could see I purposefully made sure there wasn't enough so that I could show you by taking another piece of rolled out clay that I can put it together like this. I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to carefully, try to keep out of your way, carefully blend it together on one side. See how it's together now? If I do it on the back side as well, it marries both pieces together. I'm going to put a little bit of water, like lotion on my skin, and I am going to blend it. So now you can't see where that was left, maybe just right at the top. I'll trim that. Now what should happen is it should be able to fit all the way around. I'm going to start with the straight side and I'm going to pull it all the way around. So now what's going to happen is I have all of this extra here, and I'm going to take my knife, I'm going to cut it a little bit past, leave that to the side. It now fits around. I'm going to take my knife with its little teeth and I'm going to score or make little cuts all around the perimeter so it has a little bit of texture. And then I'm going to take a little bit of water, I'm going to run that around there. And now I'm going to place my piece back on top, pressing it just a tiny bit so that it is nice and firmly planted onto the clay. Now I have this extra, see here? I'm going to trim a little bit more straight down. And I'm going to use, you always have to work with your inside and outside. So I'm going to put my fingers to the inside of my clay project and I'm going to blend this seam together. Now your clay does have to be soft in order to do this. So I'm going to blend this. You can use your knife. I think that works really well. So you can see that the little teeth made little marks, but I can blend this. And then what I would do with going around here to make sure that all of this stays sealed, see how you can still see the rim? Okay, so I'll put my hands to the inside for support, and I would take the clay, one of two things. If you have extra hanging off the edge, you can scrape upward all the way around. You can blend it on the outside with a little bit of water, like so, blending it. You don't want to see that seam because you don't want your water or whatever you're going to put in this, coffee, tea, to come spilling out. We want it sealed. So now we have this whole thing nice and smooth. Now what we're concerned about is the seams on the inside. So what I would do is I would put my little container on here. The seam I would put to the table. Then I would take my knife and I would blend the inside like that so that it is sealed together using a little bit of water on the inside. Blends the whole thing around, right? And then if you're concerned about the seam on the inside, what I would do is I would cut a tiny little piece of this clay, wet it a little bit. I'm gonna roll it like a little coil, like so. Now this is like a couple steps away. I wouldn't, to get all of this done today would be very high achieving, but I'm trying to do this fast to show you. So I would take my coil and I would put it in the bottom of the cup. And then you want to blend it. So this time I'm not going to use the teeth. I'm going to use the end of this. And I'm just going to kind of stab it into the table. The table's a really great tool as well. So you're going to stab it into the crevice and seal it. And yes, you know, could it make an air bubble? But if you blend it all out and you really take your time, now I'm going back in with my finger to blend it. It should come together like so. Okay. Now for the handle's the very last thing that you would put on, but I made a little miniature handle. And the way I did this was I took my clay and I just rolled it again on the table, rolled it, and I made a nice little arch. Now what would work well is probably, you want your fingers, your hands to be able to go into the handle, but because of this being a miniature, I made it small around my finger. But you want it to be like a question mark, because when you put your hand in there, you want it to be able to fit nicely. And then I'm going to make little markings. I'm going to score, and I'm going to score. And then I'm going to take a little bit of water, and I'm going to put my handle on that I made. And you want it to firmly press on. Now, I'm going to leave, I don't want to blend it too much. I'm going to leave it a little bit, but I do want to get rid of these little cracks that are around here. Okay, and refining could take you, you know, all of Friday or Thursday and Friday. But I'm just going to take a little bit of water on my fingers and I'm going to blend those cracks away. All right, blend them away. A little bit of water, like lotion on your skin. And then let's just see how this looks. Cute little tiny miniature mug. I do have some more work to do up and around this area here, but I just wanted you to see. Now, when it came to rolling out clay, some people had a little bit of a difficult time. And what you're going to do, what I would do is I would pinch the clay or pound the clay out, right, as thin as I could get it with my hands. So notice it's not consistent. And then I take my makeshift rolling pin, in this case it's a Crayola marker, and see how the clay is kind of dry? Remember, like in 5th grade, if you see this, it's like elephant skin. That means the clay is tired and it needs some water. All of this starts to dry out your hands. It dries out on the cloth. So you need to add this back on. So if it starts to flip like this, that means that you have gone too far. So you want to unroll it and you want to roll it back and forth, not like that. That's what not to do. You want to roll this. And what I said in class, I don't know if anybody heard through the computer, but the greatest thickness for this is the thickness of a pencil. Remember that the clay shrinks 10% when all of this moisture comes out till it's bone dry, and then another 10% when it goes in the kiln. So you want to make your stuff a little bit bigger than you would like. So, all right, everyone, I hope this helps. You can also, watch this, pause it, stop it, go back, and remember to do the little flip grid so I can see how your project turned out as well. All right, good luck, everybody. Peace out.